It's mansplaining time again. Let's take a look at the various men's movements of recent history and how they compare to feminism. During the early 90s, we had some groups pop up that were based on men getting in touch with their feelings. Robert Bly books were popular with men back then. So that was one manifestation. We're a little out of chronological order. The Promise Keepers is a little more along the lines of the Robert Bly men's movement type stuff. Men are getting in touch with their feelings. They're getting in touch with their responsibilities as men to family, to their wives, and the like. Neither of these got much traction. They don't have a lot of longevity. They're still around, but they're nothing compared to the three I'm about to describe. Number one is the pickup artist. Yes, it's a movement of sorts, and also in the 1990s. It's based around figuring out how guys that aren't good with women can capitalize on the inner ape that's inside of every attractive woman. That all you have to do is be the right kind of jerk and you'll have as much sex as you want. Some of this was TV shows, others were seminars, others were books. There was also the radio. So, in the late 90s came Tom Leykis. And Leykis ran a radio show where he had the rules, where he was training young men, especially young men, about what dating is really like. Things like, don't spend $40 or more on dates. If you haven't gotten any sex in 3 dates, give up. Don't date single mothers. If she answers her cell phone during a date, sneak off to the bathroom and leave. Nice guys don't get laid, so be a jerk. But his primary message is be pragmatic and realistic. Don't listen to what your mother said women were like. Don't listen to what media or culture says women are like. Know what women are actually like and capitalize on it. This is where it might get a little bit confusing, and I could be wrong. But Reddit seems to manifest all of the main things that the current men's movements, starting in the early 2010s. Very vitriolic area, a lot of very angry men, angry that they are being screwed over, angry that they're not getting the sex they believe they deserve, and general red pill rage. Now, at this point, you may be wondering, what is the red pill? Well, I'm going to save that until a little bit later, and you'll see why, because it really encompasses the main messages of all three manifestations of current men's movements. The second of the three main manifestations of the current men's movements is that of MRAs, or men's rights activists. And they are the most similar to first and second wave feminists. Yeah, there's some weird shit in the men's movement, but nothing like third wave feminism. Men's rights activists tend to activate statistics, undeniable statistics about how men don't have it that great. That in courts, in issues involving violence, suicide, unfair things that happen after divorce or with children, all real issues. And basically the message is that men are also systemically oppressed. And it's not such a small amount that it's negligible. The recently released movie or documentary called The Red Pill covers this subject very well. Men going their own way, pronounced MGTOW. The concept of going your own way is not new. Men have been doing it for ages, eons, as have about 1/3 as many women. Like the first two of the three main current recent men's movements, this one got its start in the early 2010s. MGTOWs are the hardest of the three to pin down. They're most pragmatic, most varied, most eclectic, quite satisfied with their life now. They're not coming from a position of great unhappiness. MGTOW could be married, could be dating, could be recently divorced, could be not dating at all, completely accepting of some kind of celibate lifestyle. The overarching theme is that they are men who see the normal life, what might be called the blue pill life, as a raw deal to varying extents. And they've taken themselves out of the equation and are either assessing how much they want to participate or not participating at all. Except for their own children and their own families of origin, feminists and women have been doing this for 50 years. MGTOW does not want you to make a sandwich. Lord knows, MGTOW does not want you pregnant, possibly barefoot. MGTOW wants what every guy wants, an attractive companion for whom he can be intimate with. But he's done the math, he's seen the experiences of his friends and family, and he's had his own experiences. So he's looked at these stats and he said, well, either I'm done dating or I'm going to date more carefully. And if I do date, I'm going to be on the lookout for a few things. So these are some of the reasons that he's either not dating or dating more carefully. The wedding industrial complex, lose-lose scenarios, glaring double standards, and maybe being seen as some type of a wild steed that needs to be tamed every day or every week or something. MGTOW has the biggest numbers, is probably the biggest long-term sustainable threat to feminism. Also, it has the added benefit of it being extremely difficult to fight an underground group that does not announce its existence or its presence and considers someone who argues with them in certain ways about such subjects to be someone to ignore, to minimize contact with, or simply to not discuss that subject with anymore. And now on to the overarching theme for the men's movements of the last several years. We're not including the Robert Bly or the Promise Keepers in this. This is the red pill, which is a Matrix reference. Go ahead and watch the movie if you don't know what I'm referring to. If you take the blue pill, you will let the woman run your social life without question, tolerate subtle contempt, ignore the risks of marriage, let your male friends go, tolerate the expectation of mind reading and irrational perspectives, treat men who tell the truth about what the average woman is like as you would a communist sympathizer in the 1950s. Not all long-term relationships are like this, thank God. But 70% is not a percentage to scoff at with all these risks and problems. I wish there were more than two choices, but these are really the two that we have. If you take the red pill, you realize that what your mother, your teachers, and culture have taught you about how women are is only about 30% true. There are some extremely important things to understand about women that is denied or isn't taught. You become unable to overlook that a long-term relationship with a woman is likely to be a raw deal. Some guys end up having more sex, while other guys end up having less sex after taking the red pill. The big issue is that you typically end up with a pretty solid state of rage, and it lasts for months or years. Hopefully, that breaks to a feeling of freedom that you may never have felt before.